So one way to become profitable is to become loved. And to become loved, there's a lot of characteristics you need. And so let's go to the characteristics. First, these companies seem to focus not on shareholders, but on stakeholders. Now, very interesting. Capitalism has a new theory. The old theory under Milton Friedman was the job of a company is to maximize its own profits. And in fact, don't give away any money to charities and so on, because that's for the stockholders to do if they care for a charity. A kind of cold, rational view of the company. The new capitalism is every company is in a network of stakeholders, your customers, your dealers, your suppliers, and so on, and try to balance. You remember this new technique called the Balance Scorecard? It means a number of things, but one of the things is there a balance in the network, the members of the network all getting pretty good value from the relationship to the network. Now, a lot of companies handle this in a different way. They say, well, Johnson & Johnson says, what's the first concern we have? Who is it? Stakeholders? And they say no. The first group we care about are the customers. What's the second group they most care about, that they'll mostly focus on? Employees. By the way, it's hard to be a good service company if you don't create employees who love their company, because they can sabotage the company. So the second thing is employees. The third is the community. See, they have prioritized the groups they're trying to contribute value to. And the fourth is profit, the shareholders. Now, if you take Marriott Corporation, which runs the hotel, their order is a little different. First priority is employees. In fact, they say the customer comes second. But what they are really saying is, the formula is if I have good employees, they'll give good service. Therefore, the customers will come back. And if they come back, we'll be profitable. But one of the characteristics of these endearing firms is that they have thought about balancing the value to all of their partners. They're partner organizations, basically. They've partnered. Their executive salaries are modest. That is to say, none of these outrages where Enron would pay what it paid and companies that had poorly performed, meanwhile the CEO's going home with a big bonus, and some of these outlandish payments. We didn't find anyone in that group that was paying excessively. They operate an open door policy to reach top management. Can you reach the head of your company if you had a good idea? You know, the flatter an organization, the more likely it is that you could reach a person. It's very interesting. Southwest Airlines, which is our most profitable and probably only profitable airline, was run by Herb Kelleher, and his CFO complained to him, "I'm the chief financial officer and I can't get enough of your time, Herb. I mean, there are financial things that happen every day and I got to get into your office. But I see the pilots in your office, I see the stewardesses in your office. What's the story?" And Herb answered, "They're more important than you are." And he meant it both as a joke, but he meant it seriously. That the frontline people are more important than the CFO. He wasn't the kind of guy to get lost in the 10 people who surround him. He was getting out into the world and wanted to know what people were thinking. So if I'm looking at your company, I'd say, how open door is your company? Employee compensation is higher for the category. I mean, if there's 3 companies, usually one of those on our list pays more to its people. And not surprisingly, they get better training and they stay longer with the company. And when they even hire people, they want people who manifest a customer caring attitude. And their suppliers, they're very choosy about suppliers. They don't want to keep changing suppliers based on price. By the way, all of you buy supplies. You can keep switching to the cheapest supplier. They would rather have the supplier who's superior, namely working hard to increase quality, productivity, and lower its own costs. They believe that their corporate culture is their greatest asset and the source of their competitive advantage. These are companies that really believe they've created a distinct organization, and people know about it. Just like you have a feeling for Starbucks, you have a feeling for Nokia, a feeling for these companies. But the most interesting finding from our point of view as marketers is their marketing costs are much lower than their competitors. Wow. Wow. So who's doing the marketing? What's the answer? Customers. You see, these customers are so happy, they love the company, and they tell others. So you don't have to spend megabucks on advertising. You have the advertising going on as people talk to other people. And by the way, you know what's happening online today. You know how much chatting there is. Peer-to-peer chatting on Facebook, MySpace. People talk. Hey, I'm going to buy a car. What's your... I think anyone here bought a Toyota recently, the particular Toyota? You get some responses and they say, oh, they're so satisfied with her. You know, there's chatting. There's much more chatting going on than advertising.